Good evening, Sword Family, and welcome to the very first edition of the Teahouse in 2024. Tonight's tea is the very last of the sample pack that I got from Celestial Seasonings, Raspberry. All right. Not bad, not bad. So, before we get into the comments tonight, I'd like to show off a few very cool things that I got for Christmas. Obviously, the very first is, let's see if I can back up a little bit here. This Starry Night Wolf shirt that my lovely Foxy got me. I love it. It's awesome. We have red string bracelet. For those people who aren't aware, in Chinese culture, there's a belief that a red string connects people who have known each other together. So by wearing this, I'm showing that I'm always connected to Foxy and other people. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that yet. We'll see what we'll see what people say. This is part one of a book series that I've been looking at for quite a while now. This is a 500-page book. Kind of talks a little bit about the celestial archer and the moon goddess, and more about the daughter that they conceived. But this is a gift from my sister and my brother-in-law. Now, anyone who has spent any amount of time, around me for more than 5 seconds, will know I'm not a really big fan of katanas. So, I don't hate them, but I am much more into Chinese weapons and martial arts, and anyone who has known me for any amount of time should know that. It's got an interesting pattern on the blade, and my little stabbing box that I think you can just barely see right there in the corner of the screen down there. That box will attest that that thing can thrust, but I don't know if I dare try to actually slash with it in case it breaks off if it's got a rat tail tang on it, and I don't have the necessary tools to actually take the handle apart to look at what kind of tang it has. So, a lot of people have made the comment that at least they tried. And it's true. They did. They tried. But these people have known me for, my sister has known me for 40 some odd years, and my brother-in-law has known me for 20 some odd years, maybe. But they have never really taken any interest in the things that I am interested in. So all they know is swords. So, yeah. All right, let's go through the comments here. Obviously, the very first one is my lovely Foxy. Good evening, everyone. Will be up and running shortly on tonight's episode of the Teahouse. Yes. And we have our good friend Uncle Carl from Never Mind the Furthermore, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. How you doing, Carl? Good to see you. Good to see you. If you want to pop in a couple of questions before you're ready, yeah, questions are always good. Just here to learn whatever is taught. Well, I am a teacher, not professionally or anything, but I teach Foxy and I teach a couple of other students of Chinese martial arts. So, but yes, this lovely shirt was completely random, at least according to her. Yeah, it's got an amazing pattern on the blade. I don't deny that at all. It's just not my thing. I'm not going to say that it's the very first katana I've ever owned, because that would be a lie. The very first katana, at least that I can remember, was given to me by my high school girlfriend. She bought a sword set from one of our local pawn shops that were very, very famous in the 90s. The dragon head katana sets from, made famous by Highlander. But in my research into those swords, I found out that the entire set was a weird Frankenstein. The handles were like Generation 2, and the tsubas were Generation 1, and the end cap on the end of the scabbard was like it was yeah. No, you're not naming my box Stabby. No, you're not doing it. And Carl says swords would be something that I never buy for someone else, especially if they know more about something than I do. See, that's the thing. I have bought weapons for people, and I've also made training weapons for people, but they're always people that I know really, really well. I refuse to make something for someone that I don't really know something about. I mean, I've showed these things before. I made a little carrying case, I guess, a little scabbard for them. These are my training Ome-tsi, also known as Ome piercers. These were made completely just out of the blue. I had this leftover piece of dowel rod. It was left over from my cutting stand. That's actually in my spare bedroom back there. This was what was left of the dowel. And I was going to throw it away. And it was sitting right over here. I have a small bookshelf right over here where my printer sits. It was kind of sitting there. And I remember looking at it and thinking it was a pretty good length for a pair of piercers. So I went and got a nail. I drilled a hole. I took a spare piece of PVC that I have. I cut a ring out of it. These beads are from Foxy's jewelry making. And I was so impressed once I finished it that I went and bought another dowel rod to make another one, because these weapons always come in pairs. Now, I'm sure at some point I will run across someone, a student, a friend, whatever, that wants to train with the piercers, and I will be able to give that to them when that time comes. But in the meantime, I just made them just to make them. Yeah, see, that's the stabby box that she named during, I think it was Friday morning, maybe it was Wednesday morning show on Never Mind the Furthermore. Yeah, googly eyes. Yeah. Oh, hey, look, it's our friend Johnny as well. Stone tablets? No. We had papyrus scrolls that we read together. I got one right here, actually. See? Check it out. Parchment. That's for a project. This is true. We're older than Google. This is true. Guess it could be. Yeah, it's pretty much a wall hanger. I have a sword cleaning kit that I can clean and oil and polish it. And there's a small hammer in that kit that I could use to pull the pin out of this thing. Now that surprises me. I didn't even look at that before. It actually has both. You can see one right there. The other one's down here. It actually has both of the wooden Makugi pins, which means, at the very least, the tang goes most of the way through the handle. That actually surprises me. Yeah, I kind of figured you would like it, Johnny. It's very edgelord. One of the things that I do with my weapons, and I think I've mentioned this before, is I name them all. They all have distinct personalities. Other people might think that's strange, and I'm strange. So this right now is called Moto no Shinobi. We're just going to leave that there and see if anyone in the comments knows what that means. Oh, Miss Saren's D&D game started early. She's sorry she can't join, but well, if you're watching later, Saren, hi. You can always come back. Welcome to Pass On Questions. Yeah, she can ask through you or any other means she might have. Yes, katanas are Japanese. I don't even think the close the Chinese even crossed their mind. I think they just said, "Oh, sword," and that was as far as the conversation went. Now, I mentioned this on my Before Christmas stream, but I'm going to say it again. My brother-in-law made the mistake of letting me see the box the day before or 2 days before. It was 2 days before Christmas Eve. Now, I am a sword collector. This, not counting my staffs, my training swords, this is sword number 17. I have had plenty of swords delivered to my house. I knew the minute I saw that box. And I even said, that's a sword box. And apparently they were kind of pissed off that I ruined the surprise, but come on. It's a sword box. anyone who has bought swords, even cheap $50 Amazon wall hangers, knows what a sword box looks like. Yes. Katana. It's spinning. Yeah. Katanas are actually from heaven. The thing is, only Japan has the secret word to open the door. All right, we can go with that. I mean, there is a legend that the islands of Japan were created when a god dipped his blade into the ocean, and the drops off of the tip of the sword that landed back in the water created the islands of Japan. See, I do know stuff about Japan. Yeah. Never seen a weapon. Okay, let's see if I can see if I can find a decent one. I can show you what the steel ones look like. Okay. This is Cult of Athena. I have bought weapons from Cult of Athena before. They're not my favorite distributor. They don't make... Well, they do now, but they didn't originally make their own weapons. They just distributed them from other people. My favorite sword maker of all... I have 2 LK swords, and despite the fact that I'm incredibly poor, I wouldn't mind getting... Oh, come on. All right, fine. We'll do it this way. While we're waiting. Yes, this is a perfect katana for Johnny. I agree. Yes, the actual ones are metal and pointy on both ends. They kind of look like if you took a broadhead archery arrow and you shrank the arrowhead and attached one to both sides. That's called an umetsi, or an ume piercer. Rogue's got a rogue. Yeah. Okay. Where is the Asian section? Come on, man. I know there are some on it. There we go. I have bought twice from Cult of Athena. I bought a sax for Foxy several years ago, and I bought this thing. This is actually from Cult of Athena's forge, Iron Tiger Forge. It's okay. I was actually kind of disappointed when I got it, but oh, really? Okay, yeah. You're not even gonna... All right, fine. Let's try that. Oh, excuse me. Come on, this is... I know they have a pair on here because I... All right, I'm not going through 7 pages of this crap. We'll do this a little bit easier. Sword boxes. I actually want to try and build a box. Not for that. That sits in my curved weapon rack, which is behind me in the kitchen right there. Here we go. Yes. That is a pair of Omei or Omei piercers. This goes on usually your middle finger, but because of the ones that I made, I was limited to the kind of or the size of PVC that I had. Mine fits on my ring finger. Oh no. Don't apologize. This is good. You kind of asked a question. So yeah, exactly. There isn't really a topic other than asking questions. So yeah, those are Omei piercers. They come from Mount Omei in China, which is one of the three main martial arts mountains of China. Obviously, you have Shaolin, you have Wudang, and then you have Omei. Omei is usually when you see someone practicing an Omei martial art, it's usually a woman. One of the things that I got Foxy for Christmas was an Omei fan form. So Helen Liang is relatively well known in Chinese martial arts circles, and she does a lot of Omei. She does Liu He Ba, which is also called water boxing. It's kind of an offshoot of Tai Chi. Oh, we're going with the hard-hitting questions right here. Okay. Foxy asked, so Thesis, why did you pick China out of all places? Originally, I didn't. This is something that you would have to have known me since childhood to know. But I was originally into Japanese martial arts. Due in part to Highlander. I really enjoyed the original movie. I mean, I was a child, so obviously you have to throw the Ninja Turtles in there. I studied Japanese martial arts through the 80s and maybe halfway through the 90s before I kind of came to the conclusion that it wasn't for me. And then an uncle introduced me to Bruce Lee, and through Bruce Lee, I started learning his martial art, Jeet Kune Do, from a book. Then in 1996, I think, like 95 or 96, I was walking home from school, and I can't tell you why, but I decided to take a detour from my usual walking home. And I just happened to walk past a house where an old Chinese man was teaching his granddaughter Mantis Fist. And it was so completely different from anything I had seen before up until that moment. So I kind of stood there and watched for a little while. And the old man noticed me. And he kind of waved me over. And we kind of got to talking a little bit. And he offered to teach me alongside his granddaughter. So for a year and a half, 2 years, I was stopping by his house on my way home from school, learning Mantis Fist, and it just kind of snowballed from there. You know, it went from, unfortunately, he passed because he was ancient when I met him. And then, you know, like I said, a year and a half, 2 years later, he just kind of, natural causes and everything. It wasn't anything sinister. He was just old. And in honor of him, I took a couple years break. And then in 2000, yes, it was that long ago, I saw the very first Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movie. And I was just enamored with it. I watched it probably 5 times over the course of a week. And just like with the Mantis, it was completely different from anything I had seen before. Anyone who has seen anyone fight with a katana, it's very rigid. It's very abrupt. And while there are Chinese martial arts that are also very rigid, it's completely different from what you see in Japanese martial arts. Then I met Foxy. Foxy took Tai Chi at our local college. That introduced me to my second Shifu. I took a Mantis class from him, along with a staff, 2 Dian forms, 2 Dao forms, 2 staff forms, a spear form. Yes, we are really that old. I have gray in my beard. Yeah, listen here, youngin'. Yes, Foxy does use a cane. So, yeah, Chinese martial arts was entirely due to a random encounter while walking home from school one day. And I've been doing it pretty much ever since. Oh, we have another. Our friend Trelena from the Historical Fencing Guild. Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this channel, is so that I could, you know, tell people the stories of my life. Yeah, it's true. That's how and we have many greetings. How's Joe? And speaking of that, IndieCD.org, the Independent Creator Directory, is a group of fellow artists, musicians, writers, book editors. If you want something to read, if you want something made for you, go check it out. It's great. I joined a little over a month ago. And we have our good friend saying hi from Discord because YouTube's being stupid. Now, I'm going to do something that I haven't done for a long time. During one of the other shows that I participate in, from the Independent Creator Directory, Burning is Love on Wednesday nights, I mentioned that I can do a pretty accurate Beavis impression. There we go. Joe also says, hey, we're both lit. Hi, Joe. How you doing? This one's for you, buddy. I mentioned during that show that I can do so much so that a girl I dated for the 2 months that we were dating. Hey, there he is. For the 2 months that we were dating, she never heard my regular speaking voice. My nickname in junior high was Beavis. All because of this. Fire! Fire! There you go. That one's for you. Now, something else that I'm doing that I also haven't done for even longer than that is I'm writing music. I'm going to make an ad for this channel, for this show. It's going to be on Nevermind the Furthermore and possibly other places. It kind of depends. No, it didn't really hurt my throat. It's just the one that hurts my throat is... God, I don't even know if I can still do this. Hello. How are you? This hurts my throat quite a bit, actually. Because the only way I can do that is I have to take a deep breath and then hold the air in my throat. It's quite uncomfortable. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be a little bit now. Because I had the idea. I had the idea for the ad in my head. I have notes on my phone. I have recorded myself. I plan on going out to our local archery range to film. Yeah, funny voices are fun until you use them when you're not supposed to. Once you upload it to Nick's secret folder, it will be on Behind the Code and Burning His Love also. Nice. And there's my dog. Come here, sweetie. Come here, baby. She likes to make appearances. So yeah, I plan on going out to our local archery range. I'm going to film a short little thing. I had it all set up. And then Foxy tells me, what kind of music are you going to have in the background? Hi, baby. Now, I wasn't planning on having any at first. But then I thought about it. And there are several really, really excellent musicians on, I'm going to bring this back up again, indiecd.org. I could probably go and commission someone for a short little background music that I could play during my ad. Yeah, I've been playing with Clipchamp for a while. That's kind of what I'm using right now. So we'll see how it turns out once I actually get around to doing it. Anyway, I could easily get a hold of one of those people and commission them to do music, but it's going to be maybe 30 seconds. And as I mentioned on my stream before Christmas, I have been relearning the guitar. This is Acacia. This is my guitar. Yes, I named her too. So I figured that I could just write a really short guitar riff. I used to play guitar when I was a teen, an early teen, right around the same time that I actually got into Chinese martial arts. Kind of odd how that happens, isn't it? Clipchamp is also good for cutting out. I'm using my video recorder or my audio recorder on my phone right now, just for the audio. I've already cut part of my audio down. It was originally 30 seconds and I cut it down to 25. So I used to write riffs, and then something happened that I'm really not going to get into right now that made me quit guitar, and I picked it up again in September of last year. So I've been relearning something that I haven't done in over 25 years. So I don't know how many people can read Guitar Tab, but we're going to do a quick little. I don't want anybody stealing my riff. That's what I got so far. It's about 6 seconds. You never actually realize how long 30 seconds is until you have to fill it with something. It's the same thing that happened the very first stream that I had. I was always under the impression that I could talk about Chinese martial arts for an extended period of time. And then I kind of had to come to the realization that to have conversations like this for an extended period of time, you need back and forth. You need people to talk to that you can bounce ideas off of, which is why it's so wonderful having so many people in the comments tonight. You guys really don't understand how much this means to me. For most of these shows, I mean, there's been shows where it's just me and Foxy, and I just basically have to ramble for an hour. And it's really quite difficult sometimes. So having so many people show support like this, it really means a lot to me, you guys. It really does. All right. Yes, we made it through every single one of them. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes it was a matter of just finding the right topic to talk about. Yeah, this is incredibly true. Especially when your goddamn microphone doesn't work. I tried to join a wonderful Discord stream last night that is mentioned fairly frequently on Nevermind the Furthermore and a lot of the other indie CD shows. And my microphone was not reading. So I was not able to join in with the conversation, and it made me. Now this is very true. I can usually get you rambling about something after 20 some odd years. I ought to be. Yeah. And I try really, really hard. When I'm not on camera, Foxy can attest to this. I'm fairly R-rated. So I have to honestly think when I'm on stream. Otherwise, I would be swearing up a storm. And I try not to do that too much, just in case. Yeah. It's true. Why so many do scripted shows and post them later. I actually kind of want to do that a little bit on this channel. Yes. The Green Room. Hopefully next Friday I'll actually be able to join in on the damn conversation. Because I had so many things I could have added to the conversation last night. I couldn't do it because my damn microphone was not reading. I actually had to go in and uninstall my drivers. There's the dog again. And reinstall them before the show. Show is PG-ish. Yeah, PG-13. There might be some, boobs. Don't have a graphic for Not the Green Room. You know what? As far as I'm concerned, people can say and do things on this chat. Because, like I said, I'm fairly R-rated most of the time. Hi, baby. She likes to come in here and see who the hell I'm talking to. Because I'm usually not. So she's still not used to. If I wasn't working every other day, I would be doing this stream every Saturday. But I work every other day. So every other Saturday, I'm working. Oh, look at that. We have a new subscriber. Thank you, Carl. Really, you guys, this is insane. I'm completely blown away by how many people. That was part of the reason why, and I know this is going to sound completely self-serving, and I guess it is, but, I joined Indie CD, and I go and chat on Nevermind the Furthermore and a lot of other shows, excuse me, to try and get people interested in the things that I say. And honestly, it has worked to some extent. And I know that I will probably never be the kind of YouTuber who gets, play buttons from YouTube and stuff. And that's not why I do this. And Trey subscribes too. You guys are making me feel really, really good about myself right now. I started this channel because of Nick Talker. Years ago, It's probably been, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now. Actually, it's been more than that, because the first time I heard of him was because I was subscribed to Sword Sage, who also talks about Chinese martial arts and who introduced me to LK Chen. One of the LK Chen swords is right there. This man introduced me to LK Chen, and he introduced me to Nick. Because there was a video, and I don't even know if it's still up on his channel, honestly. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Message is needed. I really hope so. But there was a video of Sword Sage sparring with someone. And he was sparring with Nick. And then I got to find the Historical Fencing Guild channel. And from there, I joined the Friday night streams and started talking to some wonderful, wonderful people. Some of them are in the chat now. Others, like Uncle Carl there, is from Nevermind the Furthermore, but Joe and Trey and Nick and Johnny, these are all people I know from Historical Fencing Guild. And I have come to consider these people to be family. And that's not hyperbole. I'm serious about that. This is my family. I had never really gotten an interest in European martial arts, but through talking to Nick, I became interested, and I've been on his show twice. And I kind of came to the realization that there are sometimes the questions will pop up in his chat that he can't answer because he's, European martial arts. And so I decided that I would start this stream for those people who have questions about Chinese martial arts. And I've answered a few in some of the early streams. And I'm sure there are other people out there who watch this after the fact, or maybe, 5 or 6 years in the future, there's someone just starting out in Chinese martial arts that's finding this channel. And I hope that the information that I put out helps them find their path. Now, that is something I always wish I had a chance to do. Sword Sage is so much fun to spar with. I'm glad we got to meet you through mutual friends. And that's really true. I mentioned at the beginning of this stream that the red string of fate. All of us, every single person that I have met in my life, whether I've met them in person or online, we are all connected by the red string of fate. I was meant to meet these people. Something that is kind of a controversial belief, at least in certain circles. There are people who say that you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. That's bullshit. You can choose your family. You can't choose your relatives. The people who are related to you by blood are relatives. Your family are the people that you want around, that want you around, that lift you up. And that's why I said, these people in this chat and on the other shows, these people are my family. They're having a convention next month in Fowler, Indiana. And I really wish I could go just so that I can meet these people in person. Because, yeah, exactly. It's been a big thing in our lives. I make time. And now that there are more things for me to watch and more things for me to participate in, I'm going to be making more time. I make time every week just so that I can talk to these people, just so that I can interact with them and spend time with them. Family is incredibly important, and these people are my family. And having them show up like this for me, it's honestly kind of making me a little choked up, because this is the first time in I don't know, 6 or 7 streams that I've had this many people in the chat. Hey. Sometimes funguses are helpful. Warts are not, but, you know. It's really important to me to be able to interact with these people. And if I ever get the opportunity to meet any of them in person, it's probably going to be one of the best days of my life. I said one of. Meeting my first Shifu, meeting Foxy, when I found out Foxy was pregnant, if we ever actually go and officially get married, those are all going to be really important days. But meeting my sword family, that's going to be right up there too. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mushrooms, so. All right, we're coming up on 53 minutes. So if anyone else has any, other questions they want me to answer or anything, yes. Last minute questions. Here's something I can do. It might last more than 6 minutes, so just be aware. I consider myself to be a Buddhist. I am not a pure Buddhist because in my opinion, pure Buddhism doesn't really exist anymore. There's always a lot of other things sprinkled in with it. My particular brand of Buddhism also has tenets of Taoism and Confucianism in it. It's kind of my own belief system, if you want to call it that. So I can talk about how I actually came to that particular belief system. And it all starts with an uncle of mine who is very high up in the Mormon church. Now, I live in Utah. The Mormon church kind of controls everything. And my uncle decided to pressure my father into having me baptized at 13 years old. I wasn't asked. I wasn't consulted. I was in my bedroom, minding my own business, playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on my Sega Genesis. And I was told there were 2 missionaries in my house that were going to be my home teachers. Yeah, I know, amongst other things. Now, I don't know how things are run in the Mormon church now. I have not set foot in a Mormon church for more than a funeral or a wedding in many, many years. There we go. Might date him, but that's a solid choice of game. Thank you. Sonic. I don't know how things are run in the Mormon church now, but back then, you had missionaries that would come to your house every Sunday, teach you about the Book of Mormon, and then at the end of the period of time, I don't even remember how long the period of time was, but they taught me for however long they needed to. They gave me a test. If you failed the test, you need the church. Come join the Mormon church and come every Sunday and learn about the Book of Mormon. If you passed the test, you need the church, or the church needs you. Come and teach other people about the Book of Mormon. So regardless of how well or how badly you learn the Book of Mormon, at the end of the time period, you were going to be baptized into the church. That same uncle that pressured my father into me being baptized performed the baptism. And then I was forced every Sunday to go to the Mormon church in my neighborhood and listen to someone tell me that I was a horrible person, an awful sinner who needed him to get into heaven. And being the cynical little 13-year-old asshole that I was, yes, forceful religion, yes, exactly. It pissed me off having to listen to that every single Sunday. I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, so. And according to my father, I did it, your uncles did it, your brother did it, so now it's your turn. Like it was some kind of fucking rite of passage to have to be forced to go to church and listen to someone tell you what a piece of shit you are. Hence why neither of us follows the religion of our youth. Exactly. Fear and anger are good foundations for teaching love and acceptance. Uh-huh. That was my biggest problem. And if there are any people watching this now or in the future who are Mormon, stop listening right now. Because the next few minutes is probably going to piss you off. So just stop. Okay. Some people just don't get it. Yeah. I hated that church. I hated everything about it. And I don't think that any individual person needs someone else to get them to the afterlife. So I went to the Mormon church for probably 3 months every Sunday. And I was done. I was sick. Hush, baby. I was sick of listening to someone tell me that I was a garbage person. I mean, what was the point of that whole baptism thing of washing away my sins if I'm still going to be a piece of garbage in someone else's eyes? So I started studying. Now, in my tiny little Utah mountain town, that is still a Utah town, the resources for learning about other religions is very, very slim. You know, I had internet, but I had to be at school to use it because I didn't have internet at my parents' house. There's the public library, but there's not really a whole lot there. I was able to do research on various other religions, and I don't really talk about this much because it's going to sound horrible. And this is why I kind of told Mormons to piss off. I came relatively close through my studies of becoming a Muslim. And that's because it may be a book that goes around and tells you to slaughter all the non-believers, but so does the Bible. So did the Book of Mormon. At least the Quran is honest about it. It doesn't tell you that, it's, yeah. But then, luckily, I found Buddhism and Taoism. And I was able to kind of cobble together the three different Eastern religions into my own belief system. And I'm actually a lot happier now than I was as a Mormon. So that's probably enough religion talk. I hope I didn't scare away any of our potential listeners. If you're a Christian, if you're a Mormon, and you feel like that's the best belief system for you, then more power to you. It wasn't my path. And Carl is exactly glad you found your way. Every person, whether it's in martial arts or religion or any aspect of your life, you have to find your way. Every person's way is going to be different. I tried for years try and teach Foxy my way. And I can honestly admit this, I was stubborn about it. I wanted her to learn what I wanted her to learn. Freedom, find your own way. Yes. And Joe's still here. This is good. I'm glad. It wasn't until I had my accident and broke my hip and talking to the lovely people in the chat here that I came to understand that her way is not going to be my way. Hush, baby. And our relationship has benefited from that fact. She is learning the fan now, and that is a form that I have never learned. So I'm kind of learning right alongside her while I teach her. I consider myself to be a student first. I'm always learning. If I come across something that I don't know, if someone in this chat asked me a question that I didn't know the answer to, I would have to go find out the answer. It's just the way my brain works. I have been out of school for almost 25 years now. This May will be 25 years since I graduated from high school, and I've never stopped learning. That's just exactly. Multi-class families have the ability to get more done. It's been interesting learning the fan because there's only so many different ways that a body can move. It has a lot of the same basic movements as a sword. You have strikes, you have thrusts, you have parries. But it's shorter. When it opens up, you have a lot of different possibilities for parries and feints and things. It's definitely been interesting. And we're now almost 10 minutes over the hour. And I don't see any other questions I missed or any other comments. So I think we'll call it for tonight. This is also very true. My dog's been reminding me it's dinner time. So, everyone, thank you so much for coming and joining tonight, for participating in the chat, for making me feel like this show is actually serving the purpose that it's supposed to serve. I hope to see you all again in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful Saturday. Great show, and 再见。